Let me ask you something. How many times have you explained your dreams to people who never believed in you? How many times have you defended your growth to people who benefit from your comfort? In 2026, something must change. Not your hunger, not your discipline, not your ambition, your noise, because the next level of your life does not require announcements. It requires alignment. In 2026, silence will be your biggest weapon. In 2026, silence won't mean weakness. Silence will mean control, because when you truly know who you are, you don't argue, you don't explain, you don't chase validation, you execute. See, loud people are usually trying to convince the world. Silent people, they're building something the world hasn't seen yet. In 2026, stop telling everyone your next move. Stop broadcasting your plans to people who won't carry the weight of your consequences. Not everyone deserves access to your vision. Silence is where discipline lives. Silence is where focus sharpens. Silence is where fear gets exposed and handled. When you're quiet, you hear better. You hear your instincts. You hear your flaws. You hear the truth you've been running from. And let me tell you something real. The moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you start respecting yourself. In 2026, let your results speak. Let your consistency speak. Let your growth make the noise. You don't need to announce your comeback. You don't need applause while you're still in training. Champions don't talk during preparation, they talk after the work is done. Silence protects your energy. Silence protects your peace. Silence keeps weak opinions from poisoning strong minds. Move quietly, work relentlessly, and when the world finally notices, it'll be too late for them to stop you. Silence is not absence, it is authority. It is the calm in the room that makes everyone else uneasy. It is the pause that carries more weight than 1,000 explanations. Silence does not mean you have nothing to say. It means you are disciplined enough to choose when to speak, and why to speak. And that choice alone separates the reactive from the powerful. People who lack direction fill the air with noise. They explain too much, defend too often, and speak too quickly. But authority moves differently. Authority observes. Authority listens. Authority waits. Because when you understand your value, you don't rush to prove it. You let time, consistency, and results do the work on your behalf. Silence is where confidence lives when it no longer needs validation. It's the posture of someone who knows their path and refuses to be distracted by opinions that don't contribute to the mission. When you are silent, you are not idle. You are calculating, refining, preparing. You are gathering information while others are giving away their power through unnecessary words. True authority understands that words are currency, and wasting them lowers their value. Every sentence spoken without purpose weakens your position. Every explanation given to the wrong audience dilutes your influence. Silence, on the other hand, preserves your leverage. It keeps people guessing. It keeps your intentions protected. It forces others to pay attention, because what is restrained is often respected more than what is freely given. In silence, emotions settle and clarity rises. Ego steps aside, and wisdom takes the lead. You stop reacting to provocation and start responding from intention. Silence becomes a filter, separating what deserves your energy from what doesn't. It allows you to remain unshaken in rooms filled with chaos, to stand firm while others scramble for attention. Authority does not announce itself. It doesn't need to dominate conversations or overpower voices. It is felt, not shouted. And silence is the space where that presence grows stronger, where self-control becomes visible without a single word being spoken. When you master silence, you master timing. You speak only when your words can shift direction, change outcomes, or establish truth. Until then, you remain quiet, not because you are unsure, but because you are certain. The less you explain, the more powerful you become. Explanation is often a habit formed from insecurity, not clarity. It's the reflex to justify yourself, to make sure you're understood, accepted, or approved. But power doesn't live in justification. Power lives in certainty. When you know who you are and what you're doing, you don't feel the need to narrate every decision or defend every move. Every time you over-explain, you hand pieces of your authority away. You invite opinions into spaces where they don't belong. You allow doubt to sit at the table with your confidence. Powerful people don't feel pressured to convince everyone. They let alignment reveal itself over time. Those who are meant to understand will understand without explanation. Explaining too much creates openings for interruption, for misinterpretation, for manipulation. Silence closes those doors. It keeps your intentions clean and your focus intact. When you stop explaining, you stop negotiating your worth. You stop shrinking your vision so it fits inside someone else's comfort. Power is being able to stand by a decision without needing applause. It's moving forward even when others don't fully get it. It's trusting your judgment enough to let results answer the questions people keep asking. Results don't argue, they don't debate, they don't require footnotes. The less you explain, the more you conserve energy. You redirect it from talking to building, from convincing to executing. And over time, people stop asking why, because they start seeing what you're capable of. Your plans don't need approval, they need execution. Approval is a delay disguised as wisdom. It feels responsible, but most of the time it's fear asking for permission. Fear of being wrong, fear of being judged, fear of standing alone. Execution, on the other hand, is commitment. It is action taken without guarantees, without applause, and without consensus. When you seek approval, you place your vision in the hands of people who are not living your life and will not carry the weight of your consequences. Their opinions are shaped by their limits, not your potential. And every time you pause to ask, you give those limits the power to slow you down. Execution doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It doesn't wait until everyone agrees. It moves with intention even when doubt is present. It understands that clarity often comes asterisk after asterisk action, not before it. Momentum is built by doing, not by discussing. Plans are meant to be tested in reality, not protected in conversations. The world doesn't reward ideas that stay clean and untouched. It responds to effort, consistency, and follow-through. Execution turns intention into evidence. It transforms belief into something visible, measurable, undeniable. When you execute, you stop imagining outcomes and start creating them. You replace overthinking with progress. You trade hesitation for discipline. And slowly, the noise of other people's opinions fades, because action has a way of silencing doubt. Your plans don't need permission to exist. They need courage to begin and discipline to continue. Discipline grows best in quiet environments. Noise creates urgency, not progress. It pulls your attention in too many directions and convinces you that movement is the same as growth. But discipline requires something different. It requires space. It requires consistency without spectators. It requires the kind of focus that can only exist when distractions are stripped away. In quiet environments, habits are formed without interference. There is no pressure to perform, no need to impress, no audience demanding instant results. You show up because it's required, not because someone is watching. That repetition, done in silence, is what turns effort into discipline. Quiet removes temptation, it limits comparison, it shuts down the constant input that weakens resolve. When you're not surrounded by opinions, updates, and external validation, you're forced to confront yourself. Your excuses become louder, and that's exactly how you learn to silence them. Discipline doesn't announce itself. It doesn't thrive in chaos or attention. It grows when no one is clapping, when progress feels invisible, when the work feels monotonous. Silence, allows you to stay committed even when motivation disappears. In a quiet environment, you begin to hear your internal standards. You recognize when you're cutting corners. You notice when you're drifting. That awareness sharpens self-control. It strengthens routines. It builds reliability. Discipline is not built in moments of intensity. It's built in moments of consistency. And consistency is born where there is focus, where there is stillness, where there is silence. Stop feeding people information who don't feed your growth. Information is energy. Every detail you share, every plan you reveal, every vulnerability you expose costs you something. When you give that energy to people who don't contribute to your progress, you drain yourself without realizing it. Not everyone who listens is invested, and not everyone who asks cares about your future. Some people collect information to feel important, not to be supportive. Others listen just enough to judge, compare, or discourage. And a few will smile while quietly hoping you stay exactly where you are. Feeding these people access to your vision weakens your momentum and clouds your focus. Growth requires protection. It needs space to develop without constant commentary. When you share too much with the wrong audience, you invite unnecessary doubt into something that isn't fully formed yet. Early ideas are fragile. They don't need opinions, they need time and action. The people who truly feed your growth don't just listen. They challenge you constructively, support you consistently, and respect your process. They don't demand updates. They don't rush your progress. They understand that real development happens behind the scenes. When you become selective with what you share and with whom, your clarity increases, your confidence stabilizes, you stop explaining and start executing. Silence becomes a filter, keeping distractions out and alignment in. Not everyone deserves to know what you're building. Some people only deserve to see the results. Focus is louder than motivation. Motivation talks. Focus works. Motivation arrives with emotion, with excitement, with temporary energy. Focus stays when that energy disappears. It doesn't rely on feeling ready or inspired. It relies on commitment. And commitment, sustained over time, makes more noise than any burst of enthusiasm ever could. Motivation wants recognition. It wants to be seen and felt. Focus doesn't care who's watching. It locks in, shuts out distractions, and moves forward one deliberate step at a time. While motivation waits for the right mood, focus creates progress in any condition. Focus eliminates options. It forces you to say no to things that feel good in the moment, but cost you later. It prioritizes depth over speed, consistency over excitement, and in doing so, it builds results that speak on your behalf when words fall short. Motivation fades when things get repetitive, when the work becomes boring, when results take longer than expected. Focus thrives there. It understands that mastery is built in repetition, that growth often feels uneventful while it's happening. Focus stays present in the mundane, and that's where transformation actually takes place. When you are focused, distractions lose their power. Opinions quiet down, comparisons fade. You stop chasing inspiration and start trusting systems. Over time, the accumulation of focused effort becomes undeniable. People don't hear your motivation. They hear the impact of your discipline. Focus doesn't announce itself, but it always leaves evidence. When you move in silence, distractions lose access. Distractions survive on visibility. They need your attention, your reaction, your emotional involvement. The moment you stop announcing your moves, you stop inviting interference. Silence closes doors that noise leaves wide open. When you move quietly, there is less to respond to and less to react against. Opinions have nothing to attach themselves to. Doubt has fewer entry points. You are no longer managing outside expectations. You are managing your own standards. That shift alone restores focus. Silence limits interruption. It removes the constant need to update, explain, or defend your progress. Instead of splitting your energy between action and commentary, You invest everything into the work itself. Distractions weaken when they are starved of attention. Moving in silence also protects timing. Not everything needs to be shared while it's forming. Early exposure invites premature judgment, and judgment can distort direction. Quiet progress allows ideas to mature without pressure, allowing decisions to be made with clarity rather than influence. When distractions lose access, momentum increases. You stop being pulled into unnecessary conversations and start moving with intention. Your mind becomes less cluttered, your execution sharper. Silence creates boundaries, and boundaries create progress. The quieter your movement, the harder it is for anything unnecessary to slow you down. Let results do the talking. They speak every language. Words are limited. They depend on interpretation, belief, and willingness to listen. Results don't. Results are visible. They stand on their own, without explanation or persuasion. No matter who's watching or where they come from, progress is understood the same way everywhere. Talking creates opinions. Results create facts. You can argue with intentions, but you can't debate outcomes. When something works, it shows. When growth is real, it's noticeable. That's why results carry authority, because they remove the need for validation. When you focus on results, you shift your energy from convincing people to improving yourself. You stop rehearsing explanations and start refining execution. Over time, what you build answers every doubt that once required a response. Results also have memory. They accumulate. One achievement leads to another, and eventually your track record becomes your voice. People stop asking questions because the evidence is consistent. Trust forms not from promises, but from proof. Every culture respects achievement. Every environment recognizes progress. Results don't need translation or context. They are understood instantly and remembered long after words are forgotten. Let the work speak. Let the progress be seen. Let the results say everything you don't need to explain. Silence sharpens instincts and exposes excuses. When the noise fades, there is nowhere to hide. No distractions to blame. No opinions to lean on. Silence removes the external influence that clouds judgment and forces you to confront your own patterns. In that stillness, instincts grow clearer because they are no longer competing with constant input. Instincts are not loud. They don't shout over chaos. They speak quietly through awareness, timing, and subtle discomfort. Silence gives them room to surface. You begin to sense when something is off, when a decision is rushed, when an opportunity is real or just another distraction. That clarity is impossible when the mind is overloaded. At the same time, silence exposes excuses. Without noise to mask them, excuses become obvious. You hear the justifications you've been repeating to avoid discomfort. You recognize the habits that delay progress. In quiet moments, it becomes clear whether you're resting with intention or avoiding effort. Silence removes the illusion of busyness. It separates movement from progress. You see whether your actions align with your goals or simply keep you occupied. That awareness is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Growth begins the moment excuses are seen for what they are. As instincts sharpen, decisions become faster and more confident. As excuses are exposed, accountability increases. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting both your potential and the discipline required to reach it. Powerful people don't announce they arrive. There is a quiet force in showing up fully prepared, fully committed, and fully present, without the need for fanfare. Announcements are often masks for uncertainty. Arrival is proof of capability. Power does not require explanation or justification. It requires presence, and presence cannot be faked. When powerful people arrive, their impact is immediate. Rooms change, energy shifts. Attention turns naturally, not because it was demanded, but because it recognizes substance. Words can be ignored, hype can be dismissed, but arrival leaves no question about ability, focus, or intention. Arriving silently also protects the work. It keeps plans intact, shields vision from premature judgment, and avoids unnecessary interference. The less noise made before action, the stronger the impression when results appear. People remember those who arrive with certainty, not those who shout about what they might do. There is humility in arriving. It acknowledges that preparation matters more than perception. It respects the process, the craft, and the effort required to transform intention into reality. Arrival is the final statement. Everything else is background noise. Powerful people don't chase attention. They let attention find them. They don't predict impact. They create it. And in doing so, they teach the world that true authority is earned, not announced. So as 2026 approaches, remember this. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to argue your worth. You don't need permission to evolve. Move in silence, build with purpose, and when you finally speak, make sure the world has no choice but to listen, because in 2026, silence will be your biggest weapon.